Check it out. I've got like a cowlick on the side right here. Anyways, I can't have a video made about me. And let me just put my feet up. Can't have a video made about me without somebody ringing my phone and waking me up. Thank you, fucking InventorGorilla. So, I watched InventorGorilla's video, Skepticism of Skepticism, and I could have titled this video, Ponage of InventorGorilla's Skepticism of Skepticism, and once again pulled out the, you keep using that word, but I do not think it means what you think it means. Yeah, first, misunderstanding what I'm saying. I could say that it was a misunderstanding, but, you know, we're in this game where whoever makes one person make response videos, that person wins, you know, and I think that InventorGorilla and I are high scorers. Aldous Valor is kind of like, you know, screaming and pulling out his hair. His hairline's receding because people aren't responding to him. But InventorGorilla can say some stupid shit, you know, so he's a high scorer, you know. I piss people off. I get response videos. I get a lot of response videos from InventorGorilla. So it's this game that we play, and here we go. So, first of all, I have to call out this old word, straw man. Because you are saying that I said that is for a fact what they did. Okay? I'm actually not saying that. I'm saying this is a method in which you could create that same effect. Now, because InventorGorilla is the type of person who doesn't use skepticism in his life and has been susceptible to the trickery of Christianity, and he likes that place. He likes to be tricked. He's comfortable with his Christianity and his woo and his believing in ghosts. He's the kind of person who will accept facts when they should not be accepted. Now, I don't have to prove exactly what they did. I only have to show that the type of evidence that they put forth is not sufficient for anyone to accept the facts that they are putting forth. I can show how those facts can be fabricated. And an entire swath of facts we can just discount as something that is very discreditable. It's kind of like how InventorGorilla can say that he's had a personal experience with Jesus Christ, right? And, you know, most skeptics and atheists here on YouTube, they would say, well, personal experiences don't count. Well, personal experiences are a form of evidence, right? They just don't meet this certain criteria to be considered believable. Because I could say right now in a video, Allah came to me in my dream and gave me a cowlick, and I've had a personal experience with Allah, and Allah said that InventorGorilla is gay. And not only gay, he's gay for himself, and he likes to tuck his own penis and do himself in the butt. You know? He's hermaphrodite. Okay? And Allah told me this, and you cannot refute what Allah said. Because Allah touched my hair with a cowlick. Personal experience does not mean shit if you cannot verify the things that you are putting forth. there's this level of evidence that we require for you to be putting forth something for other people to be able to believe it. Now, InventorGorilla is he's saying that I should have put forth the evidence that these people had. I should have shared that with my audience in my previous video. Problem is, I pulled out my camera, did a quick pan of the room, and that video footage I actually did share with my video audience in that YouTube video. But shortly after I pulled out my camera, the Colorado Paranormal team stated that they did not want anyone filming or recording anything that they were about to share. And I think that's because they're very wary of ponage, especially because we live in the same state as Brian and Baxter, who actually use other people because they're so well known. They use other people to go in on these ghost tours and stuff, and they use their footage for this ponage now. Because if Brian and Baxter showed up, the Colorado Paranormal team would probably just pack up all their shit and go home. All right? Many of the techniques that they were putting forth are easily explained away. And Brian and Baxter are the kind of people who would just raise their hand and say, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. So when I pulled out my camera just to pan around the crowd, they noticeably got very anxious, very like, holy shit, who is he? We don't know who he is. You know, even though they had like 10 cameras around the room, you know, for anyone in the crowd to have a camera, it's like, oh no, he's about to catch us. And then that'll be on tape, and all, you know, like this banner that we've paid for and our business cards, you know, one bad bit of publicity and that ruins our credibility. You know, I could see that in their eyes. Anyways, I didn't get any footage of their evidence. Okay? So, yeah, you don't have anything that I'm putting forth to compare to what they're doing. If they ever put it on YouTube, which a lot of paranormal groups do, you could compare what I did to them. And like InventorGorilla said, 99% of what you see here on YouTube can be explained away by the techniques that I showed in that video. You know? I think that even more can be explained away when you look at movies like Paranormal Activity. I especially like when you can see a handprint come down in the bed sheets, and the bed sheets being ripped off a person, and then you can see the making of documentaries for movies like that, where they were using like fishing line, a special fishing line that you can't see on film, but you know, because it's so fine that it doesn't show up. You know, and they can use it to pull people down a hallway. That's awesome. You know, and make all sorts of different kinds of effects. InventorGorilla's been on YouTube for how many fucking years now, right? He knows what shifting the burden of proof is. He knows that if we are ever able to get it ingrained into his head that you can't shift the burden of proof onto us, that his entire belief system will crumble. Saying that I have to disprove what they did in order to say that it's not acceptable as fact is very comfortable for InventorGorilla, but it's wrong. Okay? All I have to do is show that that form of evidence is not reliable and that it can be manufactured. You know? if I had access to the same building and the same camera angle, I could have very well recreated exactly what they did. But I don't. They didn't even tell us what building it was. They would. And what's really funny about InventorGorilla's video, again, something that I can't prove because I didn't have my camera on. What's really funny about his video is afterwards I was talking with, I know one guy's name is Dave, and a couple of the other investigators, and they were talking about Kim because all the other skeptics had left, and I was just giving them my business card because sometimes I decide to write about these things. And, you know, if I wrote and they wanted to contact me, they'd have my business card. And they were talking about Kim and how she was challenging their skepticism of their evidence and saying that they were afflicted with pareidolia, with the, you know, the dust orbs, and, you know, choosing some of the orbs and not the others, but the reasons why they were choosing the ones that they were pretty. It was pretty much like the Council of Nicaea. You know, is this book worthy of being in the Bible? I read it and it kind of moved me. You know, I felt something that I just can't put my finger on, so I'm going to use that as the standard. You know, what was that whisper saying something? You know, I felt something and I can't put my finger on it, so I'm going to use that as the standard. What they said in response to her, to her face, to Kim's face, was that they scrutinize everything they do, and they throw out this is direct quote, about 90% of their footage. You know, and of course Nick, he said later at the bar, what he should have asked as a question right then is, what percentage of houses do you go into that do not have paranormal activity? And if they all have paranormal activity, wouldn't that just be... It wouldn't be supernatural, it'd just be natural, you know? Where was I? Anyways, what they use as skepticism is obviously not what the Skeptics Society uses as skepticism, because 10% of everything they're filming is showing up, you know, things that they consider to be spooky, paranormal, you know, whereas people from the Skeptic Society looking at the same evidence would discount it and say, well, that doesn't prove anything, you know. One of these groups is very adept at applying methodologies from skepticism. One of these groups has a lot of people with degrees in hard science. And I know that's an appeal to authority, the authority of education, but I'm going to use it anyway. Hell, InventorGorilla's used a straw man on me, you know, and put me in a place where I'm saying that I have proven them to be wrong. I did not. I proved that you can easily manufacture similar evidence, which means that you do not have to accept their evidence as fact, because that entire realm of evidence is not something that is reliable. Just like personal experience. It's not something that you can put forth and say, hey, I've had this experience that Allah told me that you are a self-bummer, you know, so you must be a self-bummer. No. I just made up that word, self-bummer, just for InventorGorilla. Wow. After they had all left, and I was the only one, the only skeptic in the room, and I was just giving them my business card, I was actually a little bit nicer, more in observation mode than going for the kill, because when I heard that they don't charge for what they do, I felt a lot less need for ponage. There are ghost tours here in Colorado that they charge $10 to $60 to lead people to think that they have in their possession evidence of a ghost. Kind of like InventorGorilla thinks he has possession of evidence of a ghost. And I was very nice, because if they're doing it for free, they're a little bit more benign than somebody who's charging. And I would think that most skeptics, if they came across a church that had invested their money so well, money that they had made in the past, that they were actually running their church off of proceeds from CDs and the stock market, and they didn't have to take any donations from their parishioners whatsoever. If there were ever a church that was so financially solvent that it had paid for their own building and all the power for 100 years forward, and did not require anyone to tithe, we would feel a lot better about that church. No one would want to pwn them for being a malicious church, because they're not, they're not charging, they're not taking anything from people. That's one level of malice that churches have, that this particular paranormal group did not have, and other paranormal groups do. So I was, I'll just hear them out, from then on. And it was very good of them to say up front that they never charge for their services. While I was talking with them, and I was the only skeptic there, got no proof of it, you have to take my word. Dave and some of the other investigators were saying that Kim had never gone out on an investigation with them or with any other paranormal group. And so, therefore, Kim can't know. That is shifting the burden of proof. And InventorGorilla did this in his video, Skepticism of Skepticism, where he says, I think Agent of Doubt should go out on a paranormal investigation, because until he's searched like they've searched, he can't know. Wrong. If I can show that the type of evidence that they're putting forth to me, when they go out for, they said that they went out for 18 months, and this is what they come back with. If I can show that none of their evidence is compelling, okay, if none of their evidence is credible enough to warrant belief, I don't have to do what they're doing. I can just show that you haven't come up with anything. You're trying to shift the burden of proof onto me. And again, for somebody who is comfortable with being lied to and being fooled and being manipulated, I can see how shifting the burden of proof is something that would be acceptable. It's not to me at all. And I feel that it's part of mental hygiene. And I also feel that InventorGorilla knows exactly what I'm saying here is true. He's also learned this lesson multiple times. He just has to think back and remember. Even on my channel, probably a year ago, I've said a lot of these lessons to him, but they still have not stuck. Because after an experience with a skeptic, many people who are comfortable with believing in woo and ghosts and Christianity, they go back to their real lives and they realize, you know what? That kind of scared me. I'm not comfortable with that kind of mindset because I feel more comfort with my woo whoopee, my safety blanket of thinking that God loves me. So they go back into that same cycle of thoughts, thoughts that when they bring them out on YouTube, those thoughts come here to die. The last thing I want to say about InventorGorilla's skepticism video is that he has not been on YouTube as long as I have been. And he said that until Agent of Doubt, me, goes out on investigations like this group, the Colorado Paranormal Team, I'm not going to know about their evidence enough to be able to say that it's a big bunch of phooey. InventorGorilla hasn't been around to see other channels that I was a part of, things like CASPRSTUBE, the Committee for Advancement in Science in Paranormal Research. The channel's been has since been closed by my friend Alan, but we used to do these things all the time. In fact, Alan had previously been a member of some very prominent paranormal groups, like the Atlantic Paranormal Society. Groups that now, their current incarnation, have TV shows where they pull off these tricks. And they fool a lot of people. But, be it paranormal research shows that just use camera tricks and audio tricks, or even tricks of sleight of hand, or having strings inside of their hoodies so that they can pull on the string and have the hood pull down and say, "Ooh, a ghost pulled down my hoodie." Whatever that is, it's no more credible than John Edwards using cold reading in order to make people think that he's psychic and he can talk to the other side. In fact, they had someone at this presentation that was talking to the other side. Who said that she had helped someone cross over. They used all of the same techniques that we had seen debunked time and time again. So yeah, InventorGorilla thinks that I should go out and do some paranormal research. Been there. Done that. I could pull out volumes of videos that we did for CASPRSTUBE, where we put forth that we found nothing and in fact had debunked other people's things. I could point to Brian and Baxter's video, the one that was flagged down off of my channel with a copyright notice from Pure Paranormal because it was so critical of them that they could not stand that it was on YouTube talking about them. I could take that and say, hey, I've been over the evidence, and I've seen how paranormal groups, they don't like criticism. They don't like real skepticism. What InventorGorilla is putting forth as skepticism is very lacking in methodology, and it has so many holes in it that it would allow for belief in anything, including Allah telling me that InventorGorilla is a self-bummer.